Hello, and welcome to our PowerPoint, Late Adulthood. There are 3 developmental stages in the late adulthood. These stages include biosocial, cognitive, and psychosocial. All of these stages form an important part of late adulthood. Biosocial development. Aging is something we may not want to happen to us, but is something we can run away from, and will have to face it at some point in our lives. Unfortunately, due to the age at this stage, disorders and health problems, senses also become less sharp during this stage. Some of these senses include vision, hearing, taste, and touch. Primary and secondary aging are what play into the decline of these abilities. Primary aging is being the universal, naturally occurring changes, while secondary aging being our choices like our health habits and environmental changes. As aging occurs, some people may not know what is normal at this stage. This diagram demonstrates what are the normal effects of the body, such as head and brain, hearing, face, lungs, bone and joints, urinary systems, hair, eyesight, skin, heart, and the reproductive system. Cognitive development. The cognitive stage is where the brain and memory start to slow down. But even though they slow down, your brain does not stop adding new cells and growing dendrites. Plasticity is something that becomes evident. It can also vary from person to person. At age of 65, the brain becomes smaller and slower, making it difficult for older people to register stimuli such as semantics, emotions, and automatic skills. Unfortunately, in this stage, some development and neurocognitive disorders, like NCD, this disorder is characterized by loss of cognitive process in varying degrees. Alzheimer's is the most common NCD in the United States. This disorder causes cognitive loss among elderly, and sadly, it can't be cured and does not improve over time. Psychosocial development. In this stage, those in late adulthood try to find self-satisfaction. Some elderly is able to achieve self-satisfaction, while others have a hard time to maintain the daily life they used to have. Erickson's last stage, integrity versus despair, is the stage that explains how individuals seek integrity that connects them to the active community. Most elders continue to remain active, caring about their close relationships, political and religious concerns. This developmental stage is most important for those who are far into late adulthood. The cause of this is due to people not caring about their well-being and not helping to maintain an active daily life. Theories of aging. Theories of aging include the theory of wear and tear and the self theory. The theory of wear and tear. The oldest and most general theory holds the belief that as we age, our bodies will wear out. Also, as time goes on, we exhaust our body and organs to the point where they just do not work as effectively as they did when a person was younger. This theory also explains by simply just living within environmental factors around us. Some of these factors include time in the sun, jobs that require physical labor, and air quality. The overuse of some body parts may suffer and cause more issues in one's health. Scientists have rejected this theory, however, as a general theory because certain body systems benefit from activities. This theory focuses on the individuals as their ideas of themselves challenge to their identity, the self theory. It pertains to more of the senses of how one's feeling and satisfaction about themselves. Some people become truer to themselves and truly who they are as they age. Generally, elders are happier with their decisions making than other young adults. They seem to rely more on gut feelings and personal experience rather than anything else. Comparing and contrasting these two theories, the self theory and the wear and tear theory, there are similarities and differences in these two theories. Some similarities are both of these theories are based on aging and how someone functions while they make their way into the stage of late adulthood. Also, they both show that when we age, our bodies and minds go through changes, which can be brought on by aging and the environment we live in. Some differences with these theories is the theory of wear and tear is more heavily based on physical bodies and stress as they go through and how it affects them as we get older. Some body parts function better when we use them more often, and some suffer as we put more stress on them. The self theory pertains more of our mental state of mind and the way we feel about ourselves and how we make decisions. The self theory puts into perspective the self concept and challenges to our identity. Lastly, the self theory integrates more wholeness and integrity into one's life to show pride in their personal experiences and achievements. Tools and tests are used by medical providers. These tools help evaluate a person's stage of late adulthood so that they can be as healthy as possible and better their lives. An example of a cognitive test that are given to those in the stage of late adulthood. The test the medical providers measure are the output of all 5 primary abilities such as verbal, meaning, inductive reasoning, number ability, and word fluency. It has been noticed that a decline in all of these categories begin around the age of 60 years old. Cognitive tests are very common tests and often show similarities within the results. The expected results and actual results tend to be similar, and there is a consistency that can be seen in those with a gradual decline in these mental abilities. A specific example of this test being used would be the Seattle longitudinal study of adult cognitive development. In this test, they cross-study the cognitive intelligence of certain age ranges over a period of time in order to create cognitive interventions to help reverse the decline in the ability to perform and improve cognitive functions, there are no specific names that are given among those who have participated. Healthcare applications. There are 3 different healthcare applications. These applications are psychosocial development, cognitive development, and biosocial development. Psychosocial development. This development depends on how a child receives and accepts forms of attachment. This influences how they are intimate as adults. Adults don't want to be lonely and isolated, so they make friends. These adult relationships rely on some personal sacrifices and deeper self-understanding. These steps are learned in psychosocial development. For these steps, children need to feel comfortable expressing themselves. Without learning the basis of a relationship as a child and adult, they will not be able to have a functional relationship. Cognitive development. Once an individual enters college, they are beginning 9 levels of thinking processes that will last the 4 years needed to complete a bachelor's degree. As their cognitive development continues, they will move from a simple point of view to recognize multiple perspectives. Yet, none of this can happen if an individual doesn't choose the right environment. Researchers from the Aram and Roksha report of 2011 state that students who enroll in easy and popular classes are not allowing for any future maturity and success in their later cognitive processes. Even though someone is already an adult, it doesn't mean that their brain hasn't stopped growing. If an adult chooses to be in an environment that stimulates growth and new ideas, they are allowing their brain development that is going to benefit them later on in life. Biosocial development. The events that happen in a child's home will impact similar events during adulthood. For example, B grew up in a household of smokers and later became one in her late adulthood years. She continued to smoke for 60 years, developing COPD, and went blind. B grew up with smoking habits which prevented her from choosing different social habits. Had B not been exposed to smoking at such an early age, she might have not ever been exposed to it during her late adulthood. And that is our presentation. Thank you, everyone.